Hey, what's up? This is Em and welcome to the classroom. Now in this video, we're going to talk about real estate and in particular, digital real estate. I'm going to use a game of Monopoly to illustrate my concepts, and since a picture is worth 1,000 words, I'm about to blow your mind. So let's get started. Now in the game of Monopoly, the first battle before you even start the game is for your identity, and so it is in life. What do I mean by that? Well, simple. Are you a car or are you a dog? Now, you may have a business, a concept, a trademark, a patent, a logo, colors. What does that look like? Let's take a look at this board for a second. I want you to see if you notice anything that's out of the ordinary on this board. I'm going to give you a second. Well, you may have spotted it, 2 cars. There is no such thing as 2 cars in the game of Monopoly. I don't know how many of you have brothers, but I do, and before we play the game, we used to fight all the time to see who would get the car. You had to roll the dice and win it, or make a deal on the game or off the game so that you could get the car. Now, many times I got the car, lost the game. Other times got the dog, won the game. So you have to deal with the piece you're being dealt, okay? So I'm gonna take the car and I'm gonna give my brother the boot, okay? So let's see what that looks like. So the first race for time, now that you have your identity straightened out, is who is going to land on the piece of property first. Now I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to go straight to boardwalk. Now I know what you're thinking. You can't do that. Well, 1, it's my video, so I can do whatever I want. And 2, have a little faith, because if you believe you can, you can. And if you believe you can't, you surely can't. So let me roll over to chance, and it's advance to boardwalk. All right, so I'm going to take my car and go straight to boardwalk, and I'm going to buy in a second. Let me illustrate a quick concept, and the concept is chance. What is chance? Well, chance is nothing else but timing. What do I mean by that? Well, I land on it first, I buy it, I'm the landlord. My brother land on it second, he's paying rent. What has changed? Not a thing. Same property, same board, same game, same everything, just when did you land on it, okay? So let me show you on this board here. Actually, I'm going to clear up the board so we can. So here's boardwalk, and boardwalk is $400. So I'm going to buy it. That's $1, 2, 3, $400. And every time someone lands on it, I can collect $50. Okay. The only way for me to earn more is if I own the other property. Now, this is with analog real estate. In digital real estate, you can get started right away, and I'll talk more about that in a second. Now, the second race, once you land on that piece of property, is to land on the matching property so we can start building, okay? So let's see what Park Place looks like. So here's Park Place. It's $350. So there's 1, 2, 350. And in doing so, what I can do is I can now collect twice the rent. So it's $100 if someone lands on boardwalk because I own both properties. And that's the max I can earn, okay? So the big money is if I build. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to put a hotel on each property, each house being $200. What I'm going to do is I'm going to straight to put another $1,000 investment to develop those properties. And what happens here is that I can earn $2,000 instead of just $100, and $1,500 if they land on Park Place. So this is analog real estate. You can decide to build. You may have a piece of land with nothing on it, and you may decide to build on it, and then you can charge more depending on what your project, or sell the property to somebody else that is going to develop. But these are the maximum return is $2,000 investment, and you can get that investment back if somebody lands on it right away, so you can maximize your piece of real estate. So this is the game of traditional or analog real estate, and once you've landed on a both property, the next battle is to build, which we've covered right here, okay? Now what I want to look is at digital real estate, and I'm going to take a piece of property which is insurance.com, and the property was registered in 1994 for $100. It was renewed in 97 for $70 for 2 years. That's what it was at the time, and in 2000 the prices dropped to $10. So what I'm doing is that I'm tallying up all the registration fees from 1994 until 2010 for insurance.com. I'm coming up to $365. So let me put it here. This is insurance.com, and it's the same amount pretty much as Park Place. 300, here, I'll put it right here so you can see it. $365 So $15 more than Park Place. Now here's the difference. In 2010, insurance.com sold for $35.6 million. Now we're talking about the domain only, nothing built on it. Is that insane? So imagine the game of Monopoly and you have Park Place, which you pay $350, and somebody comes in and gives you $35.6 million. Game over, right? You're done. Now, if we had a time machine, we would all go back and go buy all those domains, but that time has sailed. Again, timing. But we'll talk about that more in a second, okay? So this is the game of digital real estate, and I'm going to cover about when we build in a second. One more thing on the analog real estate is this. So look at the board here. You've played a game before where maybe you find yourself, you right here, and then everything is loaded. There's a hotel on every property on the board. So what you have to do is that you have to roll big dices just to get through it, okay? And one roll of the dice and you can be out. Well, same with the analog real estate. It's a crowded market. Less than 2% of the inventory in the US is available, so it's a seller's market. There's more competition, more amateurs coming in, driving the prices up, a greater outlay of capital for a lesser return on the initial investment. It's a crowded space. Now, in the game of digital real estate, we're going to see where there's more opportunities to grow, okay? So let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to make a little space so I can show you what that new game operates on. So the new game that we live in, the new economy, the new digital economy, I would call it, operates on one of these. Now this is an old school server, and this is what everything runs on, a server. Now on that server is used to display on these devices and now on these devices. Now on top of that analog game, there is a new board. And what that board is, it's an electronic banking system. And let's see what that board looks like. So this is the new Monopoly electronic banking system. And as you can see, the new boardwalk is Times Square. And we're not talking about $400, we're talking about $4 million. Everything is bigger, better, faster, more of it, okay? The train station has been replaced by the airport, and the utility company has been replaced by the internet service provider, okay? Now, in that new economy, the dices are gold. Now, the car has been replaced by the limousine. The boat has been replaced by the yacht. The dog has been replaced by the helicopter. And the hat is now replaced with the jet. So it's bigger, faster, and now here it is. Everything has been redesigned. The cards have been redesigned. It's all upgraded. The monies is obsolete. You can discard that. Everything is operated by a credit card that operates on an electronic banking system. So it's a cashless society, which we're aiming towards. And everything is tracked by a GPS device. So the location, the timestamp of the transaction, everything is tied into GPS and IP address of where and what and when it happened, okay? Pretty fascinating. Now, so this is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this board on top of the server right here so that we can see what the next economy operates on that. Now, so this is the electronic banking system, operates on servers that display on those devices. And the new currency is eyeballs, and lots of them, as many as you can get your hands on, all right? So there used to be companies like ABC, CBS, NBC, Time Warner, big conglomerates that owned all the eyeballs. They control what you'd see here, what was displayed, what was advertised, and what could be done. Now, in this day and age, with the new economy that we operate on, everything has changed. So what I want to talk about is the concept of Blockbuster, and some of you have never seen a card like that, but Blockbuster and Netflix. And what I want to cover more is how do you Netflix a business? How do you find a business like Blockbuster and figure out the workaround so that you can Netflix your way around like David and Goliath and find a way in, okay? So where do we get those eyeballs? Now, Google, we have Twitter, of course. We have Facebook, new currency for the eyeballs. We have YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram that Facebook was very smart to buy at the right time. For e-commerce, we have Amazon. That's a big guy, but we also have Shopify stores that are exploding. For the kids, we have PlayStation. And if you're a kid, you haven't heard about Minecraft. The latest, which is just a start into the VR, and I think we've just seen the beginning of that with Pokemon Go not too long ago. Okay, so the new currency is eyeballs. And on top of that electronic banking system, brands operate. And let me see what that looks like. Let me show you what that looks like. So this is the board for the brands, and I'm going to put it right here. But actually, let me clean up for a second so we can see what I'm doing. Eyeballs everywhere. Okay, so this is the board of brands. Okay, so on top of this new economy, brands operate. And let's see what that looks like. So right here, as you can see, the new Boardwalk is actually Beats by Dre, $400 million, and Skype, $400 million. The first one, a content company. The reason they bought the company was to get access to the relationship with the artist for the content alongside with the hardware that they created. Skype, software company as well. These are the two blue chip on the board now, okay? What's interesting to see is eBay is right next to Ford, a company that has been around for over 100 years, and eBay that's just been around for less than 25, and yet they have the same valuation. Now, on that new economy, what's interesting is that, yes, it's still the gold dice, but here, you see this one, there's an icon, and nowadays, I mean, you've seen it, it's all about icons. I don't know if you did the upgrade on your iPhone, but you can see that everything is communicated through icons, hashtags, and it's a different way to communicate. So we're evolving as we're communicating. Now, on top of that board, we have brands that compete. So, but actually, let me, before I cover that, here's the thing about the new economy. All the pieces are customized. You can now get your gold car, you can get your gold sneakers, you can get your gold joystick. And everything is customized to capture the user's attention. So getting the eyeballs in and keeping them on. Now we have pure e-commerce plays like Amazon.com. We have product and content like iTunes. And we have straight brick and mortar like Starbucks. Now most of these companies provide a service or a product, and what they compete for is to capture your email. Now, you've heard about the money's in the list. Well, yes, indeed it is. A business is just that, a list of customers and a list of prospects. And how many prospects do you turn to customers, and how many repeat business can you generate from the customers? When you sell, what is being sold is that asset, the value of those customers. So you have customers which you capture the email, and then you have the tire kickers, which are your leads, which you need to convert into customers. Now, another thing that's pretty interesting about this new economy we operate in is that in the old economy, those cards, here, let me put that to the side, those cards used to be the less valuable. Now, in the new economy, they are actually the most valuable. If you can build a business that has residual value and it's operated on a Visa, MasterCard, or PayPal account, or even Bitcoin, this is where the money is. The automated business that allow you to generate revenue while you get to do what you want to do, okay? So that's the new economy we operate in. Now I'm going to put the board of the brands on top of that banking system, just like so. Let me put this here so you can see a little bit better. Put that right here. Now, as in the game of analog real estate, the real game as far as profiting is in developing the asset that you purchase. Now, if we had a time machine and you could go back and purchase those domains, great. But if you don't, chances are you're going to have to build. And here's the thing. If you don't build it, for sure, they're not going to come. Now, picture this. I'm going to take the example of Google. So imagine if Google just came along and Sergey and Larry decided to, well, we're just going to flip the domain, okay, and never built anything on it. What a tragedy, right? But instead, here's what they did. If you tally up their registration fees, we're talking about $375 from the time they registered the domain, okay? Now, on that property, what they did is that they built multi-billion-dollar brands. So not just regular hotels, but I'm talking golden brands, billion-dollar brands. AdWords.Google, AdSense.Google, Docs.Google, Drive.Google, Maps.Google, on and on, Waze, Picasa, you name it, they've been building it, and they built multi-billion-dollar brand all on that $10 domain. Here's the thing. Google started just like everybody else with a domain name. Now, what they're doing, and the reason why we're so fond of Google is that they're giving everything away, but not quite. The cost of it is your privacy. There is no such thing as privacy anymore. Now, what did Google do and how did they break in? So we're talking about the Netflix and Blockbuster concept. Well, back in the day, the lead was Yahoo. This is Yahoo's homepage back then, okay? So what they did is that they came and they took a little Polaroid shot and they took a snapshot of what was going on at the time. So I'm gonna take a little snapshot. I'm gonna let it come out. And so what they did is that they looked at the current landscape and they figured out what is the one thing that we can do better than anybody else and focus on that. And there you go. Less is more. What they did is that they Netflixed Yahoo, okay? So this is Google, $533 billion valuation on a $10 domain name, okay? So now I know what you're thinking. Well, it's Google, it's Larry and Sergey, the super smart guys. Now, how do we Netflix the next company? Whatever field you're in, how do you find the opportunity to make the giants fall and make your imprint, okay? So let's look at this. I'm going to take the example of Coke. So here's the thing. Coke was started in 1892, $188 billion valuation. Okay, so the company is over 100 years old, yet Google has a valuation that's almost 3 times the valuation of Coke with 1/3 of the employees or overhead, right? So insane. So what Coke did, if you wanted to beat Coke at its own game, how would you go about it? Well, you certainly wouldn't come up with a soda because you'd get crushed, right? So what Red Bull did is that they came along, and remember the race to capture that real estate first? Well, that's what they did. They came up with the Red Bull concept, and what they did, they went old school. They went door to door, knocked on door, handed out samples, and worked the heck out of it, and focused on the extreme sports niche to get an angle and capture the audience that they were after. Next thing you know, Red Bull is a $4.5 billion company, came out of nowhere, and captured that space. Now, the next battle, and same as in the game of Monopoly, is to capture the additional real estate. So they came up with the Red Bull, sugar-free Red Bull. And now that they've established their brand, well, the race is into building. And so this is the new Red Bull. All right, so the concept is the same. Netflix is now the new Blockbuster. So who's working on something to Netflix, right? So, but that concept remains the same as far as timing. So I just want that to sink in. Now, you may be thinking, well, these are physical product, big brands. How do I break in? So let me illustrate a sample with another item that is as unsexy as duct tape. Let's see what that looks like. Well, actually, I skipped one. Here's the next thing. Velocity and speed to market. As soon as Red Bull came out into the space, well, these guys took a snapshot of what was going on and came out with 5-hour energy and over $1.1 billion in sales. And here's the thing. For every 5-hour energy, for, like Gary Vee says, for every Instagram, there's 1,000 Insta-shit. Now, the reality is this. You may be first, it doesn't guarantee that you'll be the last man standing. But they created and opened up the space, and next thing you know, you have thousands of other competitors coming up with a product, even one that helps you sleep, okay? So what's the, who is going to Netflix 5-hour energy and Red Bull? I think it's me, but I can't talk too much about that. But maybe the next form of energy may be a pill. It may be something else that somebody's going to come again and take a snapshot and figure out what the workaround is to capture the market share from the guys that are already there. Okay, so now back to the duct tape. Here, let me clear that up for a second so we'll have room. So duct tape is traditionally very unsexy. It's gray, it's boring, and now selling duct tape is just not good enough. So now you need neons. So maybe you break into your market and the first foot in the door is maybe you start with being the green neon tape and just focus on that. Get everybody that likes green and likes duct tape and conquer that niche and really dominate that niche. Next thing you know, you may expand on neon. Maybe you go pink, you go yellow, and you really capture that. Now, neon is good, but it's just not enough. Now you need camo, you need animal print, you need color animal print, right? You always need to keep going because somebody else is coming up with something else. So brands have to consistently reinvent themselves. Here's another example. I don't know about you, grew up in Paris, and these are Fiskars scissors. Now, the trademark of Fiskars is the orange handle, and this is the reason why you'd pay $10 for the same pair of scissors instead of $1 for one that's unbranded. Well, even Fiskars, to stay current with the game, has to keep innovating or disappear, okay? Now, here's the thing. In a game of Monopoly, we all start with the exact same amount of money, and we know that in the game of life, it just isn't the same, right? We all start with different set of resources. But here's the good news. I don't know if you've seen that movie Far and Away with Tom Cruise, but where they have to go and they have to plant their flag to be the first to capture the land. Well, in this new digital real estate that we operate on, there's social media properties that are free. The question is who gets there first and who knows to get there first and which one to get to, okay? So the value is in knowing what is the next thing, what is the next trend, what is the next thing to get into, the next niche that you can capture, okay? So now we've covered the new digital economy we operate on, digital real estate. We've covered the fact that it operates on an electronic banking system. We've covered the fact that brands are battling for your email and your eyeballs and your attention so that they can sell products or services, ideally in an automated fashion so that they can be recurring revenue and a profit center that is automated. Now, what I'd like to do is, in the next video, I'm going to talk about what we can build in that digital economy. We've talked about a few plays where you can Netflix a competitor. What I want to cover in the next video is what we can build and how it's being built. So if you enter your email, I'll shoot you a link to the next video, and I will also shoot you a link where you can fill out a questionnaire after you watch the second video, which will guide you as to where you can win in that new digital economy. So enter your email, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.